Okay, so in our last class, I have discussed the function, power and function of state board, and we have already discussed the composition, power and function of different board, composition, power, function of different board under Water Pollution Act. So under Water Pollution Act, we have three types of board: central board, state board, and there is a joint board. And mm, their power function has been provided under section 17 central board, under section 16 state board, and regarding the joint board, even the power function is provided under section 13 and 14. We have already discussed that part. Then in my last class I have discussed the how samples are collected and tested in the laboratory. Okay. So collection of sample and testing of sample is one of the primary function of the state board, because to determine whether there is pollution or not, so the board has to collect sample and board has to test the sample, and after that whether there is pollution or not, it is determined. So collection of sample and how reports are submitted, that under section 22, that reports are submitted by the analyst to different parties. Under section 22, that there are three copies of the report is submitted by the analyst. One copy goes to the concerned party. Another copy is submitted to your board. Then another copy is submitted to the government for court evidence purpose. And any ambiguity between the board laboratory and government laboratory, then the decision of the government laboratory shall be considered. I have discussed that part. Then today I will discuss the restrictions imposed under Water Pollution Act, because even for the examination point of view, this type of questions are mostly commonly asked, that what are the restrictions imposed under Water Pollution Act. The restriction part starts from section 24, 25, and 26. Basically, section 24 and 25, section 24 and 25 are important, because under section 24, general prohibition, general restriction has been imposed on everybody. And under section 25, that before any industrial unit, before any industry or factory, before it starts functioning, the industry or factory has to obtain prior consent from the board. So let us come to section 24 and 25. Listen, please note down section 24, prohibition on use of stream or well. Prohibition of use, section 24, prohibition use of on use of stream or well for disposal of polluting matters. That means under section 24, there is general prohibition that no one is allowed to discharge any pollutant. No one is allowed to discharge any water pollutant to any stream or well without prior permission, without prior consent, without prior approval from the board. So this is a general prohibition prohibited or imposed under section 24 of the Water Pollution Act. So most of the cases under Water Pollution Act, for example, your Ganga pollution case, your Ratlam municipality case, your Indian Council for Enviro Legal Action, that is the Rajasthan Bichri case, or you can say Doon Valley case, Vellore citizen case. Most of the cases are filed for violation of Section 24 of the Water Pollution Act. Any environmental litigation which mostly related to water means that particular dispute or the case must have been filed for violation of Section 24. Section 24 imposes a general prohibition, and without prior permission from the board, no person, whether industry, whether factory, whether municipality, or any individual, no person is allowed to discharge any polluting material to any stream, well, or to any water resources. So there is a general prohibition. Listen, in that general prohibition, that whether it is a government organization, private organization, industry, factory, everybody, there is a prohibition. That means without prior permission, you cannot discharge or dispose any polluting material to any river or stream or any well. Okay. But what about the construction work? What about the repairing work of any canal, depositing any material on the bank or bed of any stream? Try to understand that there is a general prohibition, but this general prohibition sometimes created problem. For example, there is construction work is going on inside a river. That means a dam or a bridge is going to be constructed uh, in any river or in any stream. So during construction, automatically cement, rod, chips, all the construction material will be deposited inside the river. Or, for example, suppose any canal, any side of the canal, any bank or bed of the canal, if it is damaged, then it has to be repaired. So during this type of activities, means construction work inside any river or water resources, repairing of any bank or bed of any canal. So this general prohibition sometimes created problem, because this type of construction work or depositing any material, it pollutes, because the definition of water pollution includes that anything which is any solid, liquid, gaseous substance presence in the water is, is a pollution. Either it created health hazard or it created nuisance. So the definition of water pollution includes this type of materials. That means depositing any material inside the water resources or any construction work inside any river. So this type of work, no doubt, it is one type of pollution, water pollution. So the general prohibition has exempted certain activity under section 24. This is more important, because general prohibition says that no one is allowed to discharge or dispose any material to any stream or well. But at the same time, the same section has exempted certain activities. The same section 24 has exempted certain activity from the definition of pollution, or the general prohibition shall not be applicable to certain activities. Again repeating, the general prohibition prohibited under section 24 shall not be applicable to certain activities. So which activities are exempted under section 24? Please note down the activities which are exempted from section 24. So write down: construction, construction or maintenance, construction or maintenance on any bank or bed of any stream, construction or maintenance of any bank or bed of any stream, or construction of any building, bridge, dam, construction of any building, bridge, dam, dock, D-U-C-K, dock, drain, or any sewage system inside any bank or bed of any water resources are exempted. So any type of construction work inside any bridge, inside any river, inside any stream is exempted if it is for the improvement or maintenance of that particular stream or well, particular stream. Again, repeating, all types of construction work inside any river, inside any stream is exempted if those construction work are meant for improvement or maintenance of that stream or uh, that stream or that river. This is one. Then second point is the depositing any material. Write down depositing any material on the bank or bed. Depositing any material on the bank or bed of any stream. Bank or bed of any stream for the purpose of protecting the bank or bed. For the purpose of protecting the bank or bed. Are exempted from the general prohibition. Are exempted from the general prohibition. So again repeating, depositing any material means boulder, a sandbag, or any type of uh, material to be deposited inside any stream. The object of depositing such material must be for the protection of the bank or bed. ତମେ ଶୁଣିଥିବ ଯେ ଆମର କେନାଲ ର ସାଇଡ ଗୁଡାକ ବେଳେ ବେଳେ ନଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଯାଏ ବା ଗୋଟେ ନଈର ବାଙ୍କ ଗୋଟେ ନଈଟା ଏମିତି ଯୋଉଠୁ ଟର୍ନ କରିଛି ସେ ସାଇଡ ଟା ଖାଇଯାଏ ତ ସେ ଜାଗାରେ କଣ ହୁଏ ବାଲି ବସ୍ତା ଦିଆଯାଏ ବଡ ବଡ ପଥର ଆଣିକି ପକାଯାଏ ଯାହା ଦ୍ୱାରା କି ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ପୋର୍ସନ ଟା ନଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଯାଇଛି ବା ଖାଇଯାଇଛି ସେ ଜାଗାରେ ସେଟା ତାମାନେ ଫର ଦି ଅବଜେକ୍ଟ ମାନେ ପର୍ପସ ଟା ହଉଛି ରିପେୟାରିଂ ପାଇଁ। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଲେଖ putting into any stream, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଲେଖ putting into any stream any sand or gravel. Putting into any stream any sand or gravel. Putting into any stream any sand or gravel which has been flowed ଯୋଉଟା କି ଭାସି ଯାଇଥିବ which has been flowed from the current of the stream. Which has been flowed by the current of the stream. ତାହେଲେ କଣ ହେଲା ତମେ ଦେଖ ମୁଁ ଯୋଉଟା ଜଷ୍ଟ କହୁଥିଲି ଯେ ଏମିତି ବି ହେଇପାରେ ଗୋଟେ କେନାଲ ର ସାଇଡ ଟା ମାନେ ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ପାଣିର ଷ୍ଟ୍ରିମ ର ଫ୍ଲୋ ମାନେ ପାଣିର କରେଣ୍ଟ ରେ କିଛି ପୋର୍ସନ ଗାତ ହେଇଯାଏ କିଛି ପୋର୍ସନ ଭାଙ୍ଗିଯାଏ ନଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଯାଏ ତ ସେ ଜାଗାରେ ଆଇଦର ସ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡବ୍ୟାଗ ହଉ ବା ଗ୍ରାଭେଲ ମାନେ ବଡ ବଡ ପଥର ମାନେ ବୁଲଡର ସେଗୁଡାକୁ ତା ଦେହରେ ଡିପୋଜିଟ କରାଯାଇପାରେ ବା ସେଠି ରିପେୟାରିଂ କରାଯାଏ ବା ତା ଦେହରେ ପକାଯାଏ ତା ଦ୍ୱାରା କଣ ହବ ନା ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ପୋର୍ସନ ଟା ନଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଯାଉଛି ସେଟା ଆଉ ନଷ୍ଟ ହବନି। ଯଦି କିଏ ବମ୍ବେ ଯାଇଥିବ ବମ୍ବେର ନରିମାନ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ଯୋଉଠି ଆମର ନରିମାନ ପଏଣ୍ଟରେ ଯୋଉ ବମ୍ବେ ବ୍ଲାଷ୍ଟ ଯୋଉ ଗଲା ଲାଷ୍ଟ ନରିମାନ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ମାନେ ସେଠି ଯୋଉ ଦେଖାଏ ସେଠି ସବୁ ମାନେ କଂକ୍ରିଟ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ଚର ଗୁଡାକୁ ସମୁଦ୍ର ଭିତରର ଜଷ୍ଟ ଯୋଉଟା ମେରାଇନ ଡ୍ରାଇଭ ସାଇଡଟାରେ ପକା ହେଇଛି, ବହୁତ ଗୁଡେ ମେଟେରିଆଲ ପକା ହେଇଛି। ଏଥିପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ ଢେଉଟା ଆସେ, ଢେଉଟା ଆସିକି ମାଡ ହୁଏ କୋଉଠି ଆମର ମେରାଇନ ଡ୍ରାଇଭରେ ବା ସେଇ ଆମର ସରଫେସରେ ମାଡ, ତେଣୁକରି ତାର ଢେଉର ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ଭେଲୋସିଟି ବା ତାର ସେଇ ସ୍ପିଡ ଟାକୁ କମେଇବା ପାଇଁ ସେଗୁଡାକୁ ଡିପୋଜିଟ କରାଯାଏ। ସେମିତି ଯଦି କୌଣସି ଷ୍ଟ୍ରିମ ରେ ସେମିତି କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ସାଇଡ ଟା ଭାଙ୍ଗି ଯାଉଛି, ନଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଯାଉଛି, ତାହେଲେ ସେ ଜାଗାରେ କିଛି ସ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ବ୍ୟାଗ ବା କିଛି ଗ୍ରାଭେଲ ପକେଇକିରି ତାକୁ ପ୍ରୋଟେକ୍ଟ କରାଯାଏ। ସେଇ ଟାଇପର ମାନେ ଟୁ ଡିପୋଜିଟ ଏନି ସଚ୍ ସ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ଅର ଗ୍ରାଭେଲ, it is no doubt it is one type of disposal of solid substance to water. It is no doubt it is one type of pollution, but this type of depositing such material is exempted from the general prohibition. ଆମର ଯୋଉ general prohibition ରୁ ଏଇଟା exempt କରାହେଇଛି। ଗଲା ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ରହିଲା ଯୋଉଟା କି exempted, ଲେଖିନିଅ, permitting any deposit, permitting any deposit ନ ଲେଖିକି ଏମିତି ଲେଖ, permitting any polluted material, permitting any polluted material deposited or accumulated in any pond or well. ଆଉ ଥରେ କହୁଛି, permitting any polluting material deposited or accumulated in any well or pond, to enter into any stream, with the permission of with the consent of the board. सीधा करी कहूची, permitting any such polluted material which has been deposited in any well or pond, କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ ପୋଖରୀ ବା କୂଅରେ ଯଦି କିଛି ସେମିତି polluted ପାଣି ବା polluted material ରହିଛି, which may cause hazard, which may be hazardous to human being, hazardous to aquatic animal, hazardous to the other animals, living creatures. In such circumstances, those polluted material may be allowed to be discharged to any stream. ମାନେ କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ ପାଖ ନଈ ବା କେନାଲ କୁ ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ମାନେ polluted water କୁ ତାକୁ discharge କରାଯାଇ ପାରେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ସେଇ ଟାଇପ ର discharge କରିବା ପାଇଁ you have to obtain prior consent. ବୋର୍ଡ ରୁ permission ନେଇକି polluted ପାଣି ତାକୁ କୂଅରେ ପୋଖରୀରେ ଯଦି କୌଣସି ଜାଗାରେ ରହିଯାଇଛି ତାକୁ ସିଧା କୋଉଠିକି ପଠେଇବ, ତାକୁ କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ ନିୟର ବାଇ ରିଜର୍ଭର ମାନେ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରିମ୍ ବା କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ କେନାଲ କୁ ସେଟାକୁ ଛଡା ଯାଇପାରେ। And the general prohibition under section 24 shall not be applicable to this type of disposal of any polluting material to any stream or well. ତାହେଲେ କଣ କହିଲି, section 24 ରେ section 24 prohibits, there is a general prohibition that no one is allowed to discharge any polluting material to any stream or well or water reservoirs. No one is allowed without prior permission from the board. But certain activities are exempted, means any construction work is exempted, or any depositing any material inside the stream is also exempted, or putting into any stream any gravel or sandbag for the purpose of repairing or for the purpose of maintenance of the stream or well is also exempted. Then discharge of any polluting materials which has been accumulated in any pond, in any well, discharging of any polluting material which has been accumulated in any pond to be allowed to any stream. ମାନେ ଯଦି ସେମିତି କିଛି ରହିଯାଇଛି କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ ପୋଖରୀ ଇଏରେ ବହୁତ ପାଣି ମାନେ ଅଲରେଡି ପୟଜନସ୍ ହେଇଯାଇଛି, ପଲ୍ୟୁଟେଡ୍ ହେଇଯାଇଛି, ତ ତାକୁ ବି ସେଟାକୁ କୌଣସି ଗୋଟେ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରିମ୍ କୁ ସେଟା ଛଡା ଯାଇପାରେ, ବଟ୍ prior permission from the board must be obtained. So listen, this section 24 basically it imposes general prohibition. So here most of the cases under Water Pollution Act are filed for violation of section 24. ଲେଖି ନେଇ ପାର ଗୋଟେ ଦିଟା କେସ୍ ର ନା, କାହିଁକି ନା ଯେତେବେଳେ ତମେ ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ୍ଡ under this act ଆସିବ ତାହେଲେ ଏଇ କେସ୍ ଗୋଟେ ଦିଟା ଲେଖା ଯାଇ ପାରିବ। ଲେଖ MC ମେହଟା versus Union of India, ଯୋଉଟା ଆମେ କହୁଛେ ଗଙ୍ଗା ପଲ୍ୟୁସନ କେସ୍। ପ୍ଲିଜ ନୋଟ୍ ଡାଉନ୍ ଗଙ୍ଗା ପଲ୍ୟୁସନ କେସ୍, MC ମେହଟା versus Union of India, 1988। ଆହୁରି ଗୋଟେ ତମେ କେସ୍ ର ନାଁ ଲେଖ, এটা ହେଲା ଲେଖ ସେଇ ସେମ୍ MC ମେହଟା versus Union of India, এটা ହଉଛି ତମର ସୁରଜ କୁଣ୍ଡ ଲେକ୍ କେସ୍। ସୁରଜ କୁଣ୍ଡ ଲେକ୍ କେସ୍, এটা ହଉଛି କଣ MC ମେହଟା versus Union of India, এটা ହଉଛି 1996 ର କେସ୍, 1996 ର କେସ୍। ଦେଖ ତମକୁ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ କେସ୍ ଗୁଡାକ ଦେଲି ତମେ ଇଣ୍ଟରନେଟ କୁ ଯାଇକି ଖୋଜି ପାରିବ, বা SC ତ୍ରିପାଠୀ ବହିରେ ତମେ ପାଇବ, ବା ଯେକୌଣସି ଏନଭାୟରମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ଲ ବହିରେ ପାଇବ। ଏଥିପାଇଁ ଯେ how this general prohibition is been violated by the government, is been violated by the public, and how the Supreme Court has imposed restriction on this type of pollution of water। ଗଙ୍ଗା ପଲ୍ୟୁସନ କେସ୍ ରେ ଆମକୁ ଆଗରୁ କହିଛି, ଗଙ୍ଗା ପଲ୍ୟୁସନ କେସ୍ ଟା ହେଲା ତମର କାନପୁର ଟେନେରୀ କେସ୍। ସେଠି କଣ ତାମାନେ directly the leather industry they directly discharge polluted water to river Ganga, and those leather industries were established much before the enactment of the Water Pollution Act. Water Act was enacted in 1974, but the industry, leather industry established in Kanpur, it is much earlier than 1974. Those industries were established 100 years back। ତମାନେ ଶୁଣିଥିବ କାନପୁର ଚପଲ କହିଲା ମାନେ ବହୁତ ଭଲ କ୍ୱାଲିଟିର ଲେଦର ଚପଲ। those industries immediately they are, particularly those leather industries, they directly discharge polluted water to river Ganga, and somebody, Mr. MC Mehta, has filed a case that if this type of discharge of polluted water will be discharged directly to the river Ganga, then what will happen to the belief, sentiment, and the people, those who depend upon the water of river Ganga। ଯଦି ଏମିତିଆ ଗଙ୍ଗା ନଈକୁ ଯଦି ଏମିତି ଯୋଉ ଆମର ଲେଦର ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ଯୋଉ ପଚା ପାଣି ବାହାରେ ଯଦି ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟଲି ଆମେ ଛାଡିଦବୁ ଗଙ୍ଗାକୁ, ତାହେଲେ କଣ ହବ? କାନପୁର ପରେ ପରେ ଆହ୍ଲାବାଦ ଆସୁଛି, ଆହ୍ଲାବାଦ ଆସୁଛି, ବହୁତ ଗାଁ ଗଣ୍ଡା ରହୁଛି, ତ ସେଠି କଣ ହବ? ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ପାଣି ନଉଛେ କୋଉଠୁ, ତ୍ରିବେଣୀ ସଙ୍ଗମରୁ ପାଣି ନଉଛ, ତ ଅଟୋମେଟିକଲି ତମେ ସେ ପଚା ପାଣିଟା ନବ, ଅପରିଷ୍କାର ପାଣି, ଯୋଉଟା କି ହାଇଜିନିକ ନୁହେଁ। ତ ଖାଲି ସେତିକି ନୁହେଁ, ଯୋଉ ପାଣିଟାକୁ ଆମେ ମାନେ କଣ ଏଜ ଏ ମ୍ୟାଟର ଅଫ ବିଲିଫ at the time of birth and death we use that water as a matter of purity। ଆମେ ତାକୁ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ୟୁରିଟି ହିସାବରେ ଆମେ ତାକୁ ନଉ, ଆମେ ତାକୁ ଦେହରେ ଛିଞ୍ଚି ହଉ, ଠାକୁରଙ୍କ ପାଖରେ ଲଗଉ। ତ ଯଦି ସେଇ ଟାଇପର ମାନେ ମାନେ ଆମେ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ କରୁଛୁ ବା ପାଣିଟାକୁ ୟୁଜ କରାହଉଛି, ତାହେଲେ ସେ ଜାଗାରେ ଯଦି ସେ ଲେଦର ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରିର ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ଅପରିଷ୍କାର ପାଣି ଯଦି ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟଲି ଗଙ୍ଗା ନଈକୁ ଯାଏ, ତାହେଲେ କଣ ହବ? ତାମାନେ no doubt it will affect the religious belief and sentiment, at the same time it will affect the health and hygiene of crores of people, those who depend upon the water of Ganga। In this case Supreme Court imposed restriction, and Supreme Court imposed restriction that the industries has to first install. All the leather industry are under a direction that they must install water treatment plant, then they will be allowed to discharge water to river Ganga. ଆଗ water treatment plant ସେମାନେ install କରିବେ, ତାପରେ ସେମାନେ ସେ ପାଣିଟାକୁ ଛାଡ଼ିବେ ମାନେ ଏଠିକି ଗଙ୍ଗାକୁ। So automatically this was the dispute, and finally the Supreme Court restricted the water pollution of created by those tanneries. ଆଚ୍ଛା, ଏଠି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କେସ୍ ତମକୁ ଯୋଉଟା କହିଲି ଏମସି ମେହଟା ୟୁନିୟନ ଅଫ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ, ଏଟା ହଉଛି ସୁରଜ କୁଣ୍ଡ କେସ୍। ସୁରଜ କୁଣ୍ଡ କୋଉଠି ଜାଣିଛ? ଦିଲ୍ଲୀ ପାଖରେ ଗୋଟେ ଲେକ୍ ଅଛି ଛୋଟ ସୁରଜ କୁଣ୍ଡ, ଯୋଉଠିକି ପ୍ରାୟ ଆମର ପିକନିକ ଅନ୍ୟାନ୍ୟ ପାଇଁ ଲୋକ ଯାଆନ୍ତି। What happened that the township around the Suraj Kund, mostly they discharge their polluted water to directly to the Suraj Kund. Suraj Kund जो ଆମର ଲେକ୍ ଟା ସେଟାକୁ ସିଧା କଣ ହଉଛି ନା ସେ ପାଖ ଆଖରେ ଯୋଉ ଛୋଟ ଟାଉନସିପ ମ୍ୟୁନିସିପାଲିଟି ଯିଏ ବି ଅଛି ସେମାନେ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟଲି ସେଇ ପଲ୍ୟୁଟେଡ ୱାଟର ଟା ସୁରଜ କୁଣ୍ଡ କୁ ଡିସଚାର୍ଜ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତି। ତ ସେଇଟା ନେଇକିରି ଅଲରେଡି ଗୋଟେ MC Mehta filed a case and a lot of restrictions were imposed. अच्छा, ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ କେସ୍ ନା ଲେଖ ଟି ରାମକୃଷ୍ଣ ରାଓ, ଟି ରାମକୃଷ୍ଣ ରାଓ versus ପ୍ରିନ୍ସିପାଲ ସେକ୍ରେଟାରୀ, ଟି ରାମକୃଷ୍ଣ ରାଓ versus ପ୍ରିନ୍ସିପାଲ ସେକ୍ରେଟାରୀ ଆନ୍ଧ୍ର ପ୍ରଦେଶ municipal administration. टी रामकृष्ण राव versus APA versus Principal Secretary Andhra Pradesh Municipal Administration. Listen, here what happened that that is relating to immersion of idol in the Hyderabad, that is এটা କଣ କୁହା ହଉଛି ହୁସେନ ସାଗର। ତମର ଏଠି ଶୁଣିଥିବ ହାଇଦ୍ରାବାଦରେ ଆମର ଗୋଟେ ହୁସେନ ସାଗର ଅଛି, ଦିଟା ଛୋଟ ଛୋଟ ଲେକ୍, ତା ମଝିରେ ରାସ୍ତାଟା ଯାଇଛି ହାଇଦ୍ରାବାଦରେ। ଆଚ୍ଛା, and mostly what happened that the nearby township they directly discharge polluted water to that Hussain Sagar, and sometime in the people of Hyderabad they immerse, ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କର ମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ବିସର୍ଜନ କରନ୍ତି ସେଇ ହୁସେନ ସାଗର ଭିତରେ। ମାନେ ସରସ୍ୱତୀ ପୂଜା, ଗଣେଶ ପୂଜା, ଦୁର୍ଗା ପୂଜା, କାଳୀ ପୂଜା ଯୋଉ ବି ହଉ ଆମମାନଙ୍କର ତ ମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ବିସର୍ଜନ ଅଛି, ତେଣୁକରି ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ମାନେ ହୁସେନ ସାଗରରେ ଦେ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟଲି immerse their idol. ଆଚ୍ଛା, ସେଠି କଣ ହେଲା ନା the municipal administration of Hyderabad they referred the matter to the West Bengal Pollution Control Board decision. ତମର ୱେଷ୍ଟ ବେଙ୍ଗଲ ପଲ୍ୟୁସନ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ ବୋର୍ଡ ତମର ଗଙ୍ଗା ରିଭରରେ କେମିତି ମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ବିସର୍ଜନ କରାଯିବ ତା ନେଇକିରି ଗୋଟେ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ ଜାରି କଲା। କିଏ? ୱେଷ୍ଟ ବେଙ୍ଗଲ, ଯୋଉଟା କି ସୁପ୍ରିମ କୋର୍ଟ ସେଟାକୁ एक्सेप्ट କଲା। ତ ଯୋଉ ହାଉ ଟୁ ଇମର୍ସ ଆଇଡଲ, ତ ଏଇ ଜିନିଷଟାରେ ତମର ୱେଷ୍ଟ ବେଙ୍ଗଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଯୋଉ ମାନେ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ ଟା ଦେଲା, ସେଇ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ ଟାକୁ ତମର କିଏ? ଆନ୍ଧ୍ରପ୍ରଦେଶ, ସିଏ ସେ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ ଟାକୁ ଫଲୋ କଲା। ତ କେମିତି ଏବେ ତମେ ଯୋଉ ସବୁ ଶୁଣିଥିବ ଯେ ମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ବିସର୍ଜନ ମାନେ ସେମିତି ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟଲି ତମେ ନଈରେ ପକେଇ ପାରିବନି, ଗୋଟେ ସେପାରେଟ ଗୋଟେ ଇଏ ଭଳିଆ କରାହେଇଛି, କଣ ଗୋଟେ ଆର୍ଟିଫିସିଆଲ ପଣ୍ଡ ଗୋଟେ କରିକି ତା ଦେହରେ ମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ବିସର୍ଜନ କରାଯାଉଛି। କାହିଁକି ନା ଶହ ଶହ ମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ଯଦି ନଈରେ ପଡିବ ତାହେଲେ ଇଟ ୱିଲ୍ କ୍ରିଏଟ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ। ତେଣୁକରି ସେପାରେଟ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ କରାଗଲା। ଆଉ ଯୋଉ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ ଟା ୱେଷ୍ଟ ବେଙ୍ଗଲ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ବା ୱେଷ୍ଟ ବେଙ୍ଗଲ ପଲ୍ୟୁସନ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ ବୋର୍ଡ କଲା, ସେଇ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ ଟା ତମର ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଟି ରାମକୃଷ୍ଣ ରାଓ କେସରେ ତମର ଆନ୍ଧ୍ରପ୍ରଦେଶ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ସେ ଗାଇଡଲାଇନ ଟାକୁ ଫଲୋ କଲା। ତେଣୁକରି ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ମୂର୍ତ୍ତି ବିସର୍ଜନ ନେଇକିରି ଯୋଉ ଆମେ ବହୁତ ପ୍ରକାର ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ ହେଇଛି, ଏଟା ସେଇ ମାନେ ୱେଷ୍ଟ ବେଙ୍ଗଲ ମଡେଲ ଯୋଉ ଆମର ହେଇଥିଲା, ସେଇ ସେମ ମଡେଲଟାକୁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ସବୁଆଡେ ଇମ୍ପ୍ଲିମେଣ୍ଟ କଲା। ठीक अच्छे तुमको ये जो दीटा केस कहली ए तीनटा केस कहली जदि दरकार पड़े एगुड़ा को तमे माने सेक्शन 24 रे जो रेस्ट्रिक्शन इम्पोज ता देहरे तमे ये तीनटा केस भी दे पारो बा एनी अदर केस तमे कौन सी केस तुमको जोटा वाटर पोल्यूशन रिलेटेड तमे सेटा को मेंशन करि पारिबो किछि असुविधा नै ओके so this is something relating to the general prohibition imposed under section 24 because general prohibition even if it is written that no one is allowed to discharge any pollutant any polluted material directly to any stream but certain activities has been exempted from the general prohibition and I have discussed all those exemption category. Then come to section 25 which is the key to impose restriction under Water Pollution Act. Please note down section 25 restriction on note down section 25 restriction on new outlet and new discharge. Restriction on new outlet and new discharge. Listen, here there is a general restriction imposed on new outlet as well as new discharge. Try to understand what is new outlet and what is new discharge under section 25. Listen, every industry in order to discharge its polluted water, in order to discharge its wastewater, those industry or factory has to construct any sewage system, any outlet system by which water can be discharged to any stream. Then that means outlet. So new outlet means any such outlet system which has not been used since last 12 months, any outlet system which has been constructed for the first time, or any such existing outlet system of any industrial factory which is going to be used for the first time, or you can say which has not been used since last preceding 1 year, means which has not been used since last 12 months. This is what new outlet. And new discharge means the content, the material which are to be discharged through that outlet system. दीटा जिनस गोटे हला काहा भितर देकी तमरो पोल्यूटेड वाटर ता जीवो तापरे आरटा हला कोन पोल्यूटेड मटेरियल तमे छाडुचो इंडस्ट्री बा फैक्ट्री. So this general restriction is imposed on any person who is going to construct any new outlet, who is going to discharge any new discharge to any stream. So এই ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନଟା ତମର ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ବଡି ଇଣ୍ଡିଭିଜୁଆଲ ଲୋକ ପାଇଁ ନୁହେଁ, এটা କେତେବେଳେ ଦରକାର ପଡିବ ଯେତେବେଳେ କୌଣସି ଇଣ୍ଡଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ବା ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ୍ରି ସେମାନେ ପଲ୍ୟୁଟେଡ୍ ୱାଟର ଡିସଚାର୍ଜ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଚାହିଁବେ ସେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଏଇ ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନଟା ଲାଗୁ ହେବ. ଆଚ୍ଛା, so that means no one is allowed to construct any outlet or to discharge any new discharge. Achha. Then how the industry or factory will discharge their polluted materials? So listen, there is a procedure to obtain consent, to obtain permission from the board before you construct any new outlet, before you construct any new outlet or before you discharge any new discharge, the party has to obtain prior permission from the board. So there is a procedure provided under section 25, and before you construct or before you discharge, you have to follow the procedure for obtaining permission, obtaining approval. बोर्ड रु अप्रूवल नवा गोटे प्रोसीजर फॉलो करिया पड़े. So listen, please note down step wise. First, the party देखो न्यू आउटलेट न्यू डिस्चार्ज आगो सेटा को बुझेबो व्हाट इज न्यू आउटलेट व्हाट इज न्यू डिस्चार्ज. Then the next is that the party माने किए party means the person who wants to construct. Party means a person who wants to construct a new outlet, or the party means who want to discharge any new discharge. Okay, so the party, before discharging, before constructing, before 3 months, he has to apply to the board for consent. First step, within 3 months, the party has to apply to the board for consent. First step. Second, the party has to apply in prescribed manner. There is a prescribed pro forma. The party has to apply to the board for consent in prescribed pro forma. Then the second step is, after receiving the application from the party, the board shall make an inquiry. Then,
Sir, could you repeat it again?
yes, first one is 3 months notice. Second, 3 months notice in notice by the party in prescribed pro forma. Second, after receiving the application from the party, the board shall make an inquiry. The board shall make an inquiry. Third, if the board feels that as per the specification, if the board feels as per the specification, the construction of outlet system, the construction of new outlet has been carried out. The construction of new outlet has been carried out, and the discharge of polluting materials are as per the specification, and the discharge of polluting materials are as per the specification. Then the board shall grant consent. Again repeating, after receiving the application, the board shall make an inquiry. Then the next step is, if the board feels that all the requirements required under the act, all the requirements are complied with under the act, then the board shall give a certificate of consent. Then the board shall issue a certificate of consent. सिंपल वे रे तुमको कहली, जदि माने 3 मास पूर्व अप्लाई करिवो, अप्लाई कला परे बोर्ड इंक्वायरी करिवो, तापरे बोर्ड जदि फील करिवो जे हां वाटर एक्ट रे जहा दरकार सेटा कंप्लाई हेछि, ताहले तमरो बोर्ड परमिशन देइबो. परमिशन वाट तो एठी लेखा जायनी, एठी कंसेंट बोली लेखा जाय. अच्छा, देन तापर पार्ट को आसीबा, इफ द बोर्ड फील्स then the board may impose condition. If the board feels, then the board may impose condition relating to new outlet, relating to new discharge. ଯଦି ବୋର୍ଡ ଫିଲ୍ କଲା ଯେ ନାଇଁ ଯୋଉ ମେଥଡ ରେ ହେଇଛି ୱାଟର ମାନେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଆଉଟଲେଟ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ବା ଯାହା ଡିସ୍ପୋଜାଲ କରାହଉଛି ସେଟା ମାନେ ୱାଟର ଆକ୍ଟ ସ୍ପେସିଫିକେସନ ରେ ହେଇନି, ତାହେଲେ ବୋର୍ଡ କଣ କରିବ? ବୋର୍ଡ ସେଠି ତମର ନୂଆ କଣ୍ଡିସନ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ କରିବ। ଦି ବୋର୍ଡ ମେ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ ନ୍ୟୁ କଣ୍ଡିସନ if the board feels. Then condition relating to what? Condition relating to new outlet, condition relating to new discharge. ଟିକେ ଲେଖିନିଅ, condition relating to new discharge, new outlet, এইଟା ହିଁ ହଉଛି ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ। ଯୋଉଟା ଆମେ କହୁଛେ ଯେ ୱାଟର ଆକ୍ଟ ରେ କଣ ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ ଅଛି? ୱାଟର ଆକ୍ଟ ରେ ବୋର୍ଡ ଯୋଉ ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ କରିବ ସେଟା ହଉଛି ଏଇ ଆଉଟଲେଟ ଉପରେ, ନ୍ୟୁ ଆଉଟଲେଟ ଉପରେ ତମର ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ କରିବ, ପ୍ଲସ୍ ଡିସଚାର୍ଜ ମାନେ ପଲ୍ୟୁଟିଂ ମେଟେରିଆଲ ଉପରେ ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ କରିବ। ତ ନ୍ୟୁ ଆଉଟଲେଟ ନ୍ୟୁ ଡିସଚାର୍ଜ ଉପରେ ହିଁ ତମର ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ କରାଯାଏ। ଆଚ୍ଛା, ଦେନ୍ ଆସ ନେକ୍ସଟ ପଏଣ୍ଟ କୁ ଆସ। The board may impose condition relating to new outlet. Board may impose condition relating to new outlet. कौन condition new outlet रे ही परिबो? Particularly regarding point of discharge, point of discharge, point of discharge माने कोउ जागारू आउटलेट टा बाहरिबो, केते स्पेसिफिकेशन रे बाहरिबो, से जो पाइप रो मोटेई केते हबो, ड्रेन रो लेंथ केते हबो, ए सब गुडा उपरे तमरो न्यू आउटलेट उपरे तमरो कंडीशन इंपोज करा जिवो। तापरे न्यू डिस्चार्ज उपरे कोन करा जिवो? लेखिनियो, कंडीशन रिलेटिंग टू न्यू डिस्चार्ज, कंडीशन रिलेटिंग टू न्यू डिस्चार्ज कोन कोन लेखिनियो? कंपोजिशन, डिस्चार्ज माने पानीटा जो पॉल्यूटेड वाटर, लिक्विड सेमी लिक्विड सब्सटेंस उपरे रेस्ट्रिक्शन इंपोज करबो। कोन रेस्ट्रिक्शन हबो? रिगार्डिंग द कंपोजिशन, टेम्परेचर, वॉल्यूम, कंपोजिशन, टेम्परेचर, वॉल्यूम और रेट ऑफ डिस्चार्ज, और रेट ऑफ डिस्चार्ज माने केते छड़ा जिवो, केते स्पीड रे छड़ा जिवो, केते टेम्परेचर रे छड़ा जिवो, केते वॉल्यूम रे केते अमाउंट छड़ा जिवो। प्रथमे न्यू आउटलेट रे हमें कोन कहले? को जागारू पॉल्यूटेड पानीटा छड़ा जिवो, प्लस केते को टाइप रो ड्रेन रे बाहरी की जिवो, ये गोटे कहितली। सेकेंड कंडीशन ता हला जो जिंसटा को छड़ा होउची से तार कंपोजिशन, टेम्परेचर, वॉल्यूम, रेट ऑफ डिस्चार्ज, discharge of trade effluent or particularly trade effluent, on this restriction may be imposed. On this restriction may be imposed. Next step होची that the condition imposed by the board are to be complied with. The condition imposed by the board are to be complied with within a specified period. Within a specific period, केते दिन भितरे कंडीशन टाकू से माने comply करिवे, the period within which the condition are to be complied with are to be mentioned by the board. केते दिन भितरे सेटा को बोर्ड जणैबो and the party has to comply with. अच्छा, suppose the party fail to implement the condition imposed under the board, then the board shall carry out the work. जदि एमती होबो पार्टी करि पारलानी, पार्टी करूनी, ताले बोर्ड सेई कामटा करिवो, प्लस जहा खर्च होबो से पार्टी टू रिकवरी होबो। ये हला तमरो सेक्शन 25 रे। सेकंड पार्ट होची सेक्शन 25 रे लेकिन नहीं पारो। Once the conditions are imposed, once the conditions are complied with, and consent has been obtained, once the conditions are complied with and conditions are conditions are complied with and consent has been obtained, the party is not allowed, to change, modify or alter. थरे परमिशन पाइगला परे पार्टी एई जो न्यू आउटलेट न्यू डिस्चार्ज उपरे कोनोसी प्रकार चेंज करि पारिबो नाही विदाउट प्रायर परमिशन फ्रॉम द बोर्ड, without obtaining prior consent from the board. थरे परमिशन पाइला परे सिए सेटा को बदलै पारिबनी तापरे परमिशन ता केते दिन पई दिया जाउची सेटा भी बोर्ड तार माने परमिशन ऑर्डर बा कंसेंट ऑर्डर रे मेंशन करी. The permission is not given perpetually or for all the time. Permission is granted for a limited period. After that period, again the board shall make a inquiry and board may again issue a new consent. So listen, so once consent has been obtained, the party is not allowed to change or alter. Then the question arises, if the party wants to change or alter, लिखी नहीं पा रहा पॉइंट था, if the party wants to change or alter the condition on new outlet or new discharge, पार्टी जदि बदलेवा पई चाहिबो काहेकि ना इंडस्ट्री बढ़िला, इंडस्ट्री रो प्रोडक्शन अलगा हला, तो तेनकरी पार्टी जदि बदलेवा पई चाहिबो, then if the party wants to change, then the party has to again apply for fresh consent. The party has to again apply for fresh consent before the party changes the outlet system or discharge system. And the party has to follow the same procedure. Write down, the party has to follow the same procedure provided under section 25. The party has to follow the same procedure as provided under section 25. तामाने जदि पार्टी बदलेवा पई चाहूची, कोनोसी चेंज करिवा पई चाहूची, ताहले again the party has to make an application within 3 months. 3 मास पूर्वरु पार्टी को गोटे अप्लाई करिया पड़िबो, बोर्ड पुणी आउथरे इंक्वायरी करिवो, पुणी बोर्ड न्यू कंडीशन इंपोज करिवो, ता परे जाई कि पार्टी चेंज करि परिबा बा अल्टर. This is the procedure provided under section 25 in order to obtain consent, in order to obtain permission from the board before a person, any industrial unit, before a person or any industrial factory, before he uses any new outlet or before he discharges any new discharge to any stream. एटा हला तमरो सेक्शन 25 रे. सेक्शन 25 तुमको मु जेमती कहली एटा बही रे देखिले टिके लेंदी लागिवो, डोंट बी कंफ्यूज्ड, गो स्ट्रेट. अच्छा, सेक्शन 26 रे आ गोटे जिंसो से कहला, प्रोविजन रिगार्डिंग एक्जिस्टिंग डिस्चार्ज ऑफ स्वेज ऑफ ट्रेड एफ्लुएंट. प्रोविजन रिगार्डिंग एक्जिस्टिंग डिस्चार्ज ऑफ स्वेज ऑफ ट्रेड एफ्लुएंट. Provision regarding existing discharge of sewage or trade effluent. Section 26 टा एते इम्पोर्टेंट एथि पई नुहे कना existing discharge of sewage or trade effluent हेटा कोन ना जेते बेले एक्ट ता तयारी हैला सेते बेले जो जो इंडस्ट्री गुडा को से माने सब डिस्चार्ज करूतले पोल्यूटेड वाटर टू एनी स्ट्रीम, एटा सेही मान को पई लागू हैला. माने जो धर कानपुर इंडस्ट्री हो बा जो इंडस्ट्री फैक्ट्री गुडा को 1974 पूर्वरु थिला, से माने भी माने पोल्यूटेड वाटर छाडुथिले, तो तेनुकरी सेमान को पई एई समान प्रोविजन ता लागू हैला. माने से माने भी सेही जदी इंडस्ट्री ता ऑलरेडी अछि प्लस पोल्यूटेड वाटर कोनोसी स्ट्रीम को छाडुची, तो से जगह रे सेही इंडस्ट्री फैक्ट्री गुडा को से माने पुनी आउथरे सेक्शन 25 अंडर रे 3 मास पूर्वरु से माने अप्लाई करिवे. से माने सॉरी 3 मास पूर्वरु नुहे, एक्टा जेबे लागू हैला, जो डेट रु एक्टा लागू हबो सेही डेट रु से माने 3 मास भितरे अप्लाई करिवे ସେମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ସେଇ ସମାନ ପ୍ରୋସିଜିଓର ସେକ୍ସନ 25 ରେ ଯାହା ଅଛି ସେଇ ସମାନ ପ୍ରୋସିଜିଓରଟା ଫଲୋ ହବ। ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ହ୍ୱାଟ ଦ ରେଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ସନ ଇମ୍ପୋଜ୍ଡ ଅଣ୍ଡର ୱାଟର ପଲ୍ୟୁସନ ଆକ୍ଟ। ତାହେଲେ ଆଜି ଆମେ କଣ ପଢିଲେ? ସେକ୍ସନ 24, 25, 26। ସେକ୍ସନ 24 ହଉଛି ଜେନେରାଲ ପ୍ରୋହିବିସନ ଯେ no one is allowed to discharge any polluting material to any stream. Section 25 ରେ କଣ discuss କଲେ? That before you use any new outlet or new discharge by any industrial establishment, the party has to obtain prior consent. New outlet, new discharge ଛାଡ଼ିବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ permission ନେବା ଦରକାର। And while giving permission or consent, the board may impose condition. The board may impose condition which normally we say that these are the restrictions. से जो कंडीशन गुड़ाक इम्पोज करिवो न्यू आउटलेट न्यू डिस्चार्ज उपरे सेइटा ही होची रेस्ट्रिक्शन वाटर एक्ट अंडर। अच्छा सेक्शन 26 रे कोन कहूची जो इंडस्ट्री फैक्ट्री गुड़ाक ऑलरेडी अछि से माने भी सेई समान प्रोसीजर माने सेक्शन 25 रे जो प्रोसीजर अछि सेई समान प्रोसीजर रे से माने 3 मास भितरे अप्लाई करके से माने परमिशन नेबे। आ सेते बेले भी सेई जो बोर्ड सेति बेले नुवा कंडीशन एक्जिस्टिंग माने इंडस्ट्री फैक्ट्री उपरे भी नुआ कंडीशन इंपोज करि पारे। दिस इज समथिंग रिलेटिंग टू द रेस्ट्रिक्शन इंपोज्ड अंडर वाटर पॉल्यूशन एक्ट। आज एतिकी थाउ आमे काली नेक्स्ट एयर पॉल्यूशन एक्ट को आमे जिबा। ओके थैंक यू। इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन एनी डाउट देन यू मे आस्क मी। No question? Sonali, Akanksha, Jayasmita. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
ତାହେଲେ ଲେଖିଛ ଟିକେ ମତେ ସେଣ୍ଡ କରିବରେ